It's crazy how we have this fear of an animal being close to us. They are apex predators that we should respect and everything, but at the end of the day, they're not out to get you, which is what people think.
Welcome back to Blue Ass Water, featuring tales of creative expression and tropical exploration. I'm your host, Emac, and as always, if you enjoy this episode, please give it a like, 5-star rating, if you will, and most importantly, share it with someone who you think might enjoy it. Just trying to get the word out and inspire people, inspire myself, and talk to really interesting, dope people. So that's the whole point of this. And if you share it with someone who you think might enjoy it too, that spreading the message, the good word. So we'll get into it. This week on Blue Ass Water, we've got a true ocean dweller. He moved to the big island of Hawaii a year and a half ago, and in that time with his girlfriend Casey has opened up his own shark diving business, Deep Blue EcoTours, their travel brand as well. In this episode, we're going to dive into all that and more. Ladies and gentlemen, Calvin Morse. Calvin, what's good, dude?
What's going on?
For our beautiful Blue Ass Water family, would you share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and where you are, like where exactly you're based in Hawaii?
Me and Casey were here on the North Shore of Oahu, and that's kind of like up north of Oahu. Oahu's the most populated island in Hawaii. A lot of times it's kind of like confused for the Big Island because the Big Island's huge, but the Big Island's like no one lives there, but it's still super cool. Each island's got its own uniqueness, but we're on Oahu. Been living here for a few years and been working on the water, being a captain and a shark diver for a little while, and working with Casey and her Compass Travelers brand. And yeah, we're just living out here and having a good time, trying to enjoy the ocean and everyone around here. And yeah, I went to school for marine biology in College of Charleston. And from there, I moved out to Catalina Island, right off of LA in California, and worked there for a little bit at like a marine institute for kids, where you'd kids would come on field trips, teach them about the ocean, take them on snorkels, that kind of stuff. And then from there, came here to Hawaii because Casey was here. She chose here. I'm glad she chose it. She went straight from graduation to Hawaii and made the leap, made it work. And now I'm here. And it's all working out great.
That's sweet. So let's backtrack a little bit. For anyone who doesn't know, most people probably don't. We played soccer together when we were younger for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's how we met.
Yep.
What does Charleston mean to you? How did it kind of develop maybe your love or affinity for the outdoors or the ocean?
Yeah, Charleston definitely kind of shaped my love for the ocean, just because there's so much water around where we lived. The waterways, the ocean, the rivers, that kind of stuff always kind of drew me to it. That's where I felt the most free, most natural, was on the water. And there's just limitless things to do on boats, in the beach, surfing, that kind of stuff. So pretty early on, I realized that this is what I really wanted to be. Where I wanted to be was on the ocean, and Charleston kind of gave that to me. There's plenty of it was a really good place to grow up and just hang out in nature with your friends. And that's where it's evolved to being here in Hawaii. So I have Charleston to thank for that.
It's a playground for life on the water. You've got the marshes, you got the beaches, and with those two areas, like there's so much to do, whether it's fishing or just doing environmental type work in conservation or surfing or so many different realms. What exactly did you study at CFC?
I always knew like biology was kind of what I was going to go into in college. And pretty quickly when I got into college, I'd say maybe like second semester, I started to be like, okay, I don't want to do any type of medical things. I don't want to do some like intensive lab research. I want to do marine biology. I want to figure out how I can make my work on the ocean. Pretty early on into college, I always had that idea, like few different options in high school and stuff, but I didn't kind of give myself too much pressure on needing to know exactly what I wanted to do. I was just like, I want to do biology. I want to be on the water. I want to be somewhere where I like it and enjoy. So that's where it kind of happened. And I'm totally glad that I did marine biology in college. It was tough. It was like pretty much pre-med with some extra classes. But it's paid off, and I'm really glad that I did that.
CFC has the lab on James Island, right? That overlooks like kind of the peninsula.
Yeah, it's such a nice lab. Yeah, I loved going to class over there. It was Grice Marine Lab was the name of it. And yeah, like junior and senior year, I got to go over there for like pretty much half the day.
Fire.
Be like, right, have an amazing view. It was pretty distracting being in class and just like looking out over the harbor and stuff like that. But we did some really cool stuff on the water. It was nice. It was really nice.
And so how did your marine biology degree at CFC lead to the opportunity on Catalina Island off of LA?
Funny enough, I was just kind of chatting with one of my friends that I did bike taxi with, because that was pretty much my job throughout college was bike taxi, rickshaw, driving people around King Street and Charleston.
The good
and
life.
We were just, yeah, it was fun. I loved it. And just chatting with one of my friends, Nick Smiley. And I was like, and he did marine bio in college. He's a few years older than me. And I was like, yeah, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing when I graduate. Like, who knows? I'm looking for a job. And he's like, yo, I used to work on Catalina. I think it'd be perfect for you.
Yeah.
I'll put in a good word. You should apply. I was like, that sounds sweet. I did it. And it all worked out. And I ended up applying and getting the job and moving out there pretty much like a week after I graduated. So I'm really thankful for Nick Smiley who suggested me that, because Catalina was an amazing place, like such a rewarding job too, teaching kids and showing. A lot of the kids were from like inner city LA or places where they've never really like went into the ocean. So showing that was pretty awesome.
So I've heard of Catalina Island before, but not super familiar with it. And I imagine that a lot of people, of course, everyone's heard of LA, but not a lot of people know that there's all these Channel Islands right off the coast.
Yeah.
Describe what the geography, or I guess the topography is like out there.
Yeah. So it's like a hidden gem for sure. So it's one of the last Channel Islands. So the like most south Channel Island. It's about 21 miles off of the coast of California. So the closest ferry rides from Long Beach, so pretty much LA, take like an hour ferry ride over there. And then it's like it's very like Mediterranean, dry climate, mountainous, lots of like sagebrush and cactus, and there's actually bison living on the island. And
like they have in like the Midwest or Montana or something.
Yeah, they have bison because they brought them there in like the 1950s for a Western movie, and they ran out of money and they just left them there.
Oh my
God.
So
there's like herds of bison out there, which is crazy. Yeah, Catalina was insane. And I think there's like a total of like 1,000 residents on this pretty big island. It's like a lot bigger than you expect. I was going there like expecting to be on this little island, but it's huge. Like you can drive like 2 hours in one direction.
Wow.
But it's like crazy roads. And then the best part about Catalina is underwater, like just incredible kelp forests and really good marine ecosystems. I don't know if you've ever heard of California state fish called the Garibaldi. And it's just like this iridescent orange, completely orange fish. It looks like a giant orange goldfish. It's pretty cool.
About like a foot in length?
I'd say about this big. Yeah, about a foot in length. They're really cool. And then there's just so much amazing just marine life over there. I did a bunch of spearfishing. That's where I got into free diving.
Okay.
And it's a great place for free diving because it gets deep so quickly. Like in the little bay that we lived in Toyon Bay, you could like jump off the dock and swim out to one of our moorings where the boats were anchored, and you'd already like a couple minutes swim, you'd already be in 100 feet of water. So like you could practice deep diving, free diving, and like that when it gets deep, that means there's going to be some open ocean fish right there, and had a lot of fun with that. So
that's sick.
yeah.
So on the last episode of Blue Ass Water, we had my friend also from Charleston, Chris Malinuk, who is currently in South Caicos in the Caribbean. He's a dive master, like instructor. But so he has like the full tank and stuff. Talk to me about free diving, where you're going with no tank. It's just a mask and some fins. It's a whole different story when, you don't have that, supplemental oxygen supply. And then also, you gotta, don't you have to monitor how quickly you come up and that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, the ascending process is actually much more delicate with scuba diving.
Okay.
Because when you're scuba diving, which I did a bunch of, I was pretty close to my dive master, not quite. Like I'm a certified rescue diver, so I went through like open water advanced rescue, and love scuba, super cool. But back to the ascent and that kind of stuff, like when you're breathing compressed air, you're taking in a lot more of what you usually do, like you're just breathing air on land. It's like a nice, easy, like concentration of oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. But when you're breathing compressed air, you're breathing like you're just getting like loaded with it. So you get enough, like the right amount of oxygen for you to breathe, but you're getting lots of nitrogen, lots of hydrogen. So if you come up too fast, your body doesn't have a chance to like off gas that, which means like pretty much like excrete it from your body, and it gets trapped in your blood. And so if that happens, it can be really bad, and like it's called the bends. But with free diving, you don't really have to worry about that because you're all on one breath of air, your own, just whatever you can fill up into your lungs. And so the only thing that you really have to worry about with ascending, and you only have to worry about this if you're like going deep, pushing it, is like the partial pressure of oxygen in your lungs. So say you like take a big breath, you go down 100 feet. When you're at 100 feet, you're at like every 33 feet, it's like another atmosphere of pressure. It's like the opposite. If you go up 33 feet on Earth, you're like a one atmosphere less of pressure, but you go down into the water, it gets more and more. So your lungs kind of get smaller and smaller as you're going down. But the amount of air stays the same. Well, you're using up that oxygen, using up that air. And then as you go up, your lungs get slowly bigger and bigger. And if you really pushed it, if you used all of that oxygen while you're up, in the last like 15 to 30 feet is when you really start to like, your lungs start to expand. You don't have enough like partial pressure in your lungs to like pump that oxygen through your body. So then that's when something can happen called like a blackout, which is not oxygen to your brain, you pass out. And then that's the only time it can get dangerous.
Yeah.
But that being said, free diving is much safer if you do it in a safe way.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it because it's really like a true test of your own body. You're not using any equipment or anything. It's just like you being in tune with your body, your limits, and just being down in the water as like a natural being or predator. It's really cool. I love it.
That's crazy. So when you first started, how many seconds could you hold your breath? And now how many minutes?
Oh, dude, when I first started, it was like 15 seconds, something like that. And then at my peak, I could probably hold it for like 4.5 minutes. Right now, I'm not as practiced, but I try and stay down there for at least, it all depends on where you're going. If you're like, say you're just going for depth and time, like I could probably go around 2 minutes right now. But then right now, just swimming with the sharks, going down 10, 20 feet, hanging out, being still, just observing, around a minute. So just depends on what you're trying to do. But I've come a long way for sure. And just practicing, just getting out in the water, holding your breath. You can even practice on land, just getting your lungs and everything really conditioned is important. But the biggest thing, it goes with scuba diving too. Being underwater is just learning how to relax and be calm, because if you're relaxed and calm down there, you can hold your breath for 10 times longer than if you're nervous, panicking, all that kind of stuff. So it turns into almost like a meditation type practice when you're down there.
So what sort of tips do you give people when you're bringing them on the diving eco tours with sharks?
Yeah.
The average person is most likely to be pretty, their heart's going to be beating pretty fast. They're going to be pretty nervous. A lot of people, it might be their first time. What sort of tips are you giving people to, possibly allow them to hold their breath longer and, ease their nerves?
Yeah. So easing the nerves is really, it's almost like my main job out there. It's the number one thing I tell people is just like slow, deep breaths. Like your breath is so important, and your body is like function. So people can get in there easily and start going and breathing really fast and sucking in water through their snorkel. And so if you just slow down, just slow your body down, slow your breath down. The best way to slow your body down is to start with your breath, slowing that down. So that's the biggest piece of advice that I give people. And I'd say the majority of people that come out aren't really, I love it when there are free divers coming out and like trying to really like get down there, hold their breath and all that kind of stuff. But we're mostly at the surface, just floating at the surface, snorkel, mask, fins, and then you can take a couple of dips down when you want. So just really at the surface is important. It's just like slow breaths, because you're out in the middle of the ocean. The North Shore is not very calm. So you're out there, you're in the element, and that's the biggest thing that people need to like get over, is being in the middle of the ocean where you see nothing but blue water. We're in 400 feet of water out there. So it's like just the pelagic zone, and when you tell someone to slowly breathe and really just relax, it helps a lot, because like when panic sets in, your body just stops working.
Yeah, you stop thinking, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
What are some things that you tell people about, most people have never swam with a shark before, and sharks are likely the first animal that come to mind that people may be afraid of when they're in the ocean, but there's also stingrays or jellyfish or other just, barracudas or swordfish, whatever it may be. Plenty of hundreds of different types of species out there. But like I said, sharks are likely the one at the top of people's minds. What are some, facts that you tell people about sharks or any of the other animals out there that they might encounter? And, what are some things that people can, kind of expect to learn from taking a tour with you guys?
Yeah, that's all that kind of stuff is huge. That's kind of our goal when we're out there, is to kind of help them with their fear or their understanding of the stigma against sharks. Because the first thing that I kind of tell people is, so just so you know, the media, the movies, anything that you see online or on TV about sharks is most likely embellished, exaggerated, or a lie. Because the media, movies, all that shit, it's going to try and get you afraid. Like the media feeds off of fear. And so they're like, oh, sharks, we can get people afraid with sharks. So we're going to make these sharks seem like man-eating, insane, like aggressive creatures. And then when I go from there, I say, so just so you know, a shark is never going to purposely go after you because you're a human. It's not going to be like, oh man, let me go eat it. Almost every shark attack that's ever happened, there's definitely exceptions, but like there is in nature. But most shark attacks are misidentifications, which means a shark thinking that you're something else. The top species that tend to have attacks are, say, like bull sharks, tiger sharks, great whites. Those are kind of like the big three. And great whites, they're obviously, the apex predator of the ocean, besides maybe orcas or stuff like that. But they have the biggest prey. So, they eat seals, sea lions, stuff like that. And most of the attacks are on surfers that look like that. Tiger sharks, they are, I love tiger sharks. We're getting into their season, so we get to see more of them. But they are kind of slow, dopey moving sharks through the water, but they hunt in murky water, and their main diet is turtles. So when they see something blurry up in the water, they're going to go check it out for an investigatory bite. So you can avoid all of that by never swimming in murky water. Just don't act like a turtle, be aware. And then other sharks like bull sharks, which I don't have very much experience with, but we swim with Galapagos sharks, which are a really close cousin, family member of the bull sharks. So we kind of get an idea of their mannerisms. And bull sharks, like tiger sharks and great whites, have like high amounts of testosterone in their body, which makes them a little bit more curious, a little bit more pushy. But none of that stuff, none of these characteristics that these sharks have should be described as like aggressive, because that's like the number one word that people will go to when describing a shark is aggressive. And that's just because it's this characteristic that we humans have created for sharks. They're really, if there was a word to substitute with aggressive, I would do curious, because sharks are curious. But through our experience with the sharks and through all the professionals that swim with sharks, they notice that curiosity comes first, but then cautiousness will come once they know that you're a human. Once they know if there's no uncertainty of what their prey is, they're not going to go up to it, because sharks are really, they're smart in the way that they don't want to risk themselves for a meal. They're going to do whatever is easiest. That's why they pick off injured, sick, dying, dead stuff. So all that stuff, that's just a beginning of what I tell people if they're afraid, which they usually are. And in the time that I have with these people on the boat, usually I just start off with telling them like, hey, the media is really lying to you about the sharks. Also, we're in an environment where there's no confusion. There's no variables that we don't have a good grasp on. There's a lot of things that we can tell people about sharks, and our goal is just to kind of get rid of that stigma, because sharks are extremely important for our ecosystem, and people being afraid of them is not going to help their longevity.
Yeah, facts. It's funny. You brought up like pop culture and whatnot, because last episode with Chris Malinok, he mentioned, Jaws really didn't do sharks any favors. The movie,
No,
like and other really, instances like that too. Like it just totally, it was good entertainment, but then like they did not consider the long-term effect of it of like on people's mental.
That movie alone has made people terrified of even stepping into the ocean.
Yeah.
Like my especially people like our parents' age, and like but people our age too. Like that movie's been really, I mean, it's a well-made movie, but they were not thinking about the impacts that it could have on sharks, because that movie alone has probably killed millions of sharks.
Bars.
Yeah.
It's I would compare it similar to Jurassic Park. I mean, that hasn't necessarily, it's a similar like scary effect, these crazy creatures, but that hasn't stopped people from wandering and exploring the forest and that part of wilderness.
Yeah.
So why should a movie like Jaws deter people from the ocean? I
know,
but it is what it is. Another point Chris brought up that I'm sure you could probably relate to is like when you're in shallow water and you see a shark or you see a dolphin and you mistake it for a shark, which is super common, your only thought is, oh my gosh, I'm in shallow water, it's here to get me. But then once you go down deeper and you're in their habitat, the depth of the ocean, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, damn, like, no, they're not out to get me. The only reason I thought that was because there's just way less water. But when you're in all this water, they're going everywhere but you. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because of the movies that have shown sharks coming after people in shallow water, like,
Yep.
and also shallow water is murkier, and there's a lot of variables, but yeah, it's crazy how we have like this this fear of an animal being close to us when it's like, I mean, they are apex predators that we should respect and everything, but at the end of the day, they're not out to get you, which is what people think. They're out to get us.
What gave you the inspiration to start Deep Blue EcoTours, and what's the mission behind it?
So ever since I was pretty young, I was always trying to think about what like I wanted to do in life, like anyone. And I was always into the ocean. I was always interested in sharks, and I think I saw like a few um, things online or on TV or something of shark cage diving, and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And I've always also wanted to be a business owner in some way, because at the same time, I know that the degree in marine biology, there's a lot of also stigmas around the job opportunities in that way too. People are like, oh, you're doing a degree in marine biology, like, are you going to find a job? But I've kind of figured out that if you want to be successful in marine biology, you need to kind of create your own job. So back then I was like, oh, I want to make one of those, have one of those shark cage diving businesses one day. And it's kind of evolved into this. The no cage, the education, and our mission is really to just educate people, give them an experience that is lasting, and give them a feeling of responsibility for the sharks. Because really the goal is for someone that's really afraid of sharks, once as they're stepping onto the boat, to have a completely new perspective as they get off. Say I did research or wrote an article, which is all good stuff, which is all needed, but I don't think right now it's as influential as it used to be. Right now, like, the things that people listen to are what's on Instagram or what's on YouTube, and all that kind of stuff, or what people tell them. They're not as influenced by some article that they didn't read. So education through experience is really the main thing. And that also kind of resonated with me more when I was in Catalina, and I realized, like, well, I'm really kind of influencing these people because I'm giving them this experience. I'm doing it with them. I'm showing them. I'm sharing my excitement, my love for the ocean, and that kind of like has a more lasting impression on someone than if they just read something on their computer.
As a mainland gringo, what was it like moving out to Hawaii? Like, how did I know the locals can be a bit territorial sometimes, what's been that moving process like for you?
It's definitely a learning process, and something that I try and be like extremely aware of, being someone that's on Hawaiian land, being like a mainlander, a white person that's come and living in Hawaii, because I always try to be aware that, the United States did take Hawaii pretty recently from the Kingdom of Hawaii. So you have to respect that and understand where the angst and bad feelings about us come from. And so if you understand that and if you respect it, then you will get nothing but respect back from the local people. You have to kind of just be respectful, have aloha, which pretty much is what they teach and what they have. And it can be good. And it's all just about respecting the people and respecting the land of Hawaii. And there's many ways you can do that, especially through marine conservation, because that's something that's big and it's needed. And that's something the the animals, the ocean, and the land, the Aina of Hawaii is really something that's respected and revered as sacred. So if you understand that, you respect that, then you will get nothing but respect and friendliness from the people that live here. But you have to be careful. That's all. You just have to be careful and not step on anyone's feet, because there's there's a range, just like anything. We are the minority in Hawaii, and so that's something that's totally different that I've never experienced. But I think it's very like humbling experience and something that I'm grateful to have. And even saying that is a privileged statement. But I understand that this isn't our land. I'm still a visitor no matter how long I live here. So that's that. And I have lots of friends that are from here, and people are extremely nice and welcoming if you're respectful.
Yeah, I mean, dude, respect goes a long way with many cultures, globally. Like that's kind of the most important thing if you go anywhere in the world. It's just to have respect for other people and other cultures, and not you got to have a real open mind a lot of times when you go places, because sure, you might do one thing every single day for the last 20 years of your life where you're from, but then you go somewhere else and that's not how they do things. Or like, yeah, and for better or for worse, even if you think your way is the right way, you got to respect where you are in the present moment and how they do things, because otherwise, yeah, you'll step on toes, or you might get off on the wrong foot with someone who could be of great value to you and a great friend or this or that. So
Yeah, exactly.
I like that you bring up respect, because that is, yeah, so vital when you're somewhere trying to pursue your dreams and just have fun and live life. But yeah, you gotta go with the right foot forward first and foremost.
For sure. Yeah, it's so important. It's almost like the most important thing in living in Hawaii is just respecting the land and the people. Um, the land and the people go hand in hand, and the land is sacred, and you just can't treat Hawaii as a tourist playground. You gotta, which unfortunately a lot of people do, but that's what we're here for, is to be educators for the people that need some education on how to respect and treat a place with like it's sacred.
So with respect going first, what's your favorite part about living in Hawaii?
I mean, favorite parts is I don't have to wear anything but t-shirt and board shorts for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I can relate. What's your favorite local spot to grab a bite to eat?
I'd say there's lots of good like poke places, lots of good food trucks. My favorite, it's like a Mexican place called Surf and Salsa. It's really good.
That sounds right up
Um,
my alley. How long? When was it when you first started the company?
so we're still in the process.
Right.
I've been working for a different company for about a year, and now pretty soon I'll be branching off and starting Deep Blue. And we're in the process of, we have the boat, we have equipment, we have almost everything ready to go. There's a few small things that I need to do to get the boat ready to go to be a charter boat to reliably take people out all day. And then there's some permits. Permits are pretty hard to get in Hawaii. You need lots of insurance, a lot of stuff like that. So that is what we're waiting on. And as soon as that's ready, we should be good to go and start taking paying customers. Yesterday, I took the boat out for the second time. A couple of days before, for the first time, I finally got it in an area where it's pretty accessible to the harbor. Because right now I'm taking it in and out on a trailer because the harbor is really small, limited slip space. So I'm on the waiting list for that. So we should be up and running in about a month, hopefully the beginning of September. That's kind of the goal, but all depends on the permits and everything like that.
Of
So
course. That's
yeah,
exciting. I'm stoked for you.
thanks, man. I'd say it all started to come into the picture in about April. So April, May, June, July, August, almost 5 months of getting stuff together. And say we have maybe about one month more. So about could be like a 6-month process of getting it started. But yeah, it's worth it. And I'm getting a lot of help with it, which I'm really grateful for. And should be going soon. It's gonna be a great feeling once it's off the ground and rolling.
I'm sure. That's
yeah.
exciting. Apart from Hawaii, which is in my eyes, I've never been, but my eyes like has to be one of the, top, there's so many places in the world, but top 10 to 20 most beautiful places in the world. If not, some may rank it number 1 or 2, since I haven't been, I don't feel like I'm in the position to actually give it a proper ranking. But what is your, like, apart from Hawaii, favorite place you've been able to visit?
I don't know. I'm kind of biased towards tropical areas.
Same.
I've been to like many, like I studied abroad in Spain and traveled Europe and stuff like that. And it was really, really cool. I'd say my favorite part over there was probably Portugal. But I really love Central America. So I've been to Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Panama. And Bocas del Toro, Panama was probably one of my favorite places ever.
Okay, that's
Just
officially number 1 on my list of places I need to go, because last podcast with Chris Malinuk, he went there for, I think he said he lived there and studied there for 3 months. And with like an organization, and he was doing everything from exploring the rainforest to, I think, doing scuba in the ocean. And just like the way he described it, if you didn't watch the last podcast, everyone go back and watch it after this one. It's just like, it sounds like heaven. The surfing, the rainforest, the culture, the food.
yeah,
Just
it's pretty fun.
What was it? How long were you there?
I was there for about 2 months.
Wow.
I was there for a month taking an ecology class through College
Oh,
of Charleston,
sick. Hell yeah.
which was really cool. In this like field lab, like where you had to go through this mangrove forest in this like pretty in a boat to get to the lab, and then we're there for a while doing some field work and stuff like that. And then the other month, me and my homie, I don't know if you know Max Cook, but
I
we
don't
might have played
think
soccer
so.
together. I don't know.
Wait, the
But
name sounds kind of familiar. Yeah, he played at Mount Pleasant.
yeah.
The name sounds familiar for sure.
Yeah, but we stayed after and surfed for another 2 or 3 weeks. And it was just like ultimate tropical area, with like the culture of people just, I don't know. I just love Central American vibe.
As
And
do I.
everything was on the water, like the town, which is really small, like Bocas town. It they have like a pretty fun like bar place where like every bar is on the water with like you could like swim there, and then the reef is pretty like healthy relatively to the world, so it's pretty beautiful over on the reef. The surf was world class, so all of that together, it was pretty cool.
Absolute heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Wow,
Pretty
that's
much.
crazy. Talk to me about Compass Travelers that you and KC are, kind of doing. It's a travel brand. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a travel brand, it's a mindset brand that Casey's really been working on really hard for the past couple of years, and it's just trying to influence people to kind of step out of their comfort zone, make change in their life and stuff like that. So we're gonna tie it in to Deep Blue EcoTours in some way once it's rolling.
I was going to ask about the potential crossover there. I think that's a perfect little opportunity to kind of use each other's brands to, promote the other and enhance the other, most importantly.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're figuring out all the best ways to do it while keeping our niche, however you want to say it, and then kind of crossing it over and figuring it out. Casey eventually wants to lead like retreats where people come, and she gives them kind of like a full experience. So the shark dives or whatever we want to do on the boat can definitely be part of that experience. So we're brainstorming and figuring out how to do that. But there's so much to do for Deep Blue right now that we're kind of focusing on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Getting all your shells in order, whatever the phrase is.
yeah. Dude, boats, there's always just 100 things to do. So we're figuring that stuff out.
Let's talk content real quick before we wrap this up.
Uh-huh.
Dude, the photos that you guys post on Deep Blue and on your own account just look insane. Who's taking those, and are they on a GoPro or a camera with the underwater housing? Like, what's the setup?
Yeah, so most of our content comes from a few friends that I work with. Danny, Philip, Monet. Those are kind of like the three photographers that I work with. And you could probably see their tags on Instagram and stuff if you want their handles, but they're really great photographers that they all use super nice setups, underwater housings for like with Canons and Sonys and stuff. And I've been using GoPro for a while, and I've just moved over to get a water housing for my my Canon camera. So yeah, I'm working on it. They're kind of teaching me with that kind of stuff, and it's cool. Like when you have the content to film and to take pictures of, like you can make it really good.
Yeah.
Because we have sharks and the beautiful ocean, and they're really good at getting the shot, editing, all of that stuff, and they're helping me out a lot with pumping out content for our page. But hopefully eventually my stuff will be good enough that I can put it on our page. But right now their stuff's so much better that we're just putting a lot of their kind of stuff on there. Yeah. And one of my friends, Steven Humphreys, I don't know if he's from Charleston too. He lives out here now.
Oh,
and
sick. We got a whole Charleston squad out there.
Yeah, man. And he's been really charging with like surf photography and underwater photography and drone footage and stuff like that. So I have lots of friends. There's so many like photographers, videographers out here that I get to work with, which is awesome. So that's where all that content comes from.
Well, I mean, Hawaii is a bit of a creator's paradise. So much natural beauty. You know, you don't even have to like, as long as you've got your settings right in camera, like, yeah, of course you can, dial it in the edit, but you could take a raw photo and it would look gorgeous just based off the natural, environment out there.
Yeah, totally true.
Cal, what's one resource that you've learned a lot from over the last couple years? Whether you're in school, whether it was like a podcast or a book or a mentor.
A piece of advice is really just like valuing every relationship you have with someone. If it becomes a business connection or work connection, you never know. So just make a good relationship with as many people as you can. And also, if you're trying to build your resume, and in my experience, I wasn't really trying to build my resume, but get as many certifications, licenses, stuff like that. And then so you can have as much things under your belt and be more attractive to employers and stuff like that. But number one is just making good relationships with every single person that you meet, because you never know how you can help them, how they can help you. And it's just like creating a network. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Just creating a network.
That's killer advice. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize the importance of a solid foundation and then network. Like it can take you places you never dreamt of.
Yeah. Because literally the places where I've been and where I am, it's all because of the people that I've met, like
from Charleston to Catalina to Hawaii.
To Hawaii. Yeah. Casey chose here.
I think I lost you. You froze.
But really, it all comes down to that. It's
wait. You just froze for like 10 seconds.
No worries.
Yeah. You said from Catalina to Hawaii. Casey chose Hawaii.
Yep. And then my friend Nick Smiley opened up the door for Catalina. So, it comes down to, without those people, I don't know if I would have been in either places. So, relationships with people is really important.
Facts. So Cal, for anyone visiting Hawaii in the near future, how can they contact and book a tour with Deep Blue EcoTours?
Yeah. So best way to do it is so our Instagram will soon have a link to book straight from the Instagram. So through our website will probably be the best. And then if you have questions, we have a phone number. And so Instagram, just go on Instagram first and it'll give you all the resources to book. The website's deepblueecotours.com. Simple as that. And yeah, for anyone that ever wants to come out, we'd love to have you out here and show you an awesome experience.
Yeah.
And you got to get out here, dude.
I am. Trust me, in due time. Yeah.
Hell
Looking
yeah.
forward to it. Cal, man, appreciate your time. Great catching up again. It's been like years.
Yeah, dude. So good to see you, man. I'm really happy that you reached out because I haven't really had a lot of people interviewing me. So it's cool to kind of get out what I feel like saying, So
Of course.
thank you.
Yeah, man. Hey, enjoy the rest of the day. I know it's still the morning there, so you got a whole day ahead of you. You giving any tours today or just getting out on the water?
So no, got today off, but I'm doing a bunch of stuff for the business today. So
yeah,
just keep grinding.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
All right, man. Cheers.
All right,
Have a good
homie.
one.
Later, dude.